excited today to just share a bit of my story around my career and how I ended up here at UTSC, and also as the Director of Health and Wellness, and also now as the Interim Director of Athletics and Recreation. One thing I can say for that is that there is no degree out there, I think, that would fully prepare you for my job. It is a combination of zigzags and diversions and different jobs that got me here today. From the time I was 8 years old, I wanted to be a veterinarian. I am nowhere near being a veterinarian. I loved animals. I had animals growing up. I wanted to work with animals. I hustled and I harassed a veterinarian in my small town to please take me on as a summer student, even though she wasn't hiring a summer student. I worked there part-time for very, very little wages at the time, and I got a job as a veterinarian. They called it a kennel dingo, basically. I cleaned kennels, but I also got to sit beside the vet when she was doing her surgeries and spaying and neutering dogs and cats, and being in the room when we had to put pets down, and comforting families when they were losing their beloved pet. And I also, at the first of every summer, I did it for 2 summers, and the first surgery I would see, I would end up outside with my head between my knees because I thought I was going to throw up and pass out. But I loved it. I loved working in that field, and that was the only thing that I could see myself doing. So I worked really hard in school. I worked really hard in high school. I struggled at science and math, which you would think I would have gotten the hint by then that this is not going to go well for you, Laura. Veterinary medicine is all about science and math. Nevertheless, my mom always said to me, Laura, if you work hard enough, you can do anything you put your mind to. And I always listened to that, and I said, okay. So I worked hard, and I got into the University of Guelph in animal science, lo and behold. So off I went to Guelph. I'm going to be a veterinarian. Did first year, and failed miserably. As most of you will recall, your first year was probably a bumpy time. You probably came here as top of your class, got here and had a bit of a kick in the butt that you're no longer the top of your class. So I had to rethink what I was going to do after thinking I was going to be a veterinarian for so many years. What the heck am I going to do now? I mean, I can't do science and math the way I thought I could. So I switched, and I took sociology, anthropology, and psychology, and 1 animal science, because I still had to stay in that program. And I thought, well, let's see, whatever one I do the best at, or I like the best, is what I'll finish my degree in. So talk about going from very, very consciously thinking about what I'm going to finish in, to being wide open to, I don't know what the future holds. So carried on in my courses, and by about my 3rd year, I thought, well, I'm going to do some volunteer work. So I started volunteering at Homewood Health Center in horticulture. Again, nothing related to what I had thought I would do. And I was working with people who were recovering from alcoholism. And they were just working with the plants. But I got to be side-by-side people who were addictions counselors. And I turned to them, actually went up to the 3rd floor where their offices were, and I would knock on someone's door, and I'm like, excuse me, I'm a 3rd-year student at the University of Guelph. I'm interested in your profession. How did you get your job? It was as simple as that. Going and asking the person that's doing the job that you want to do. Ask them, how did you get here? And they told me. They said, I went to George Brown College for counseling, human services counseling at the time. So I thought, okay, I can do that. So I graduated from Guelph, and off I went to George Brown. And I did a 2-year college program there in counseling. And it was great. Academically, no problem. I had just finished a 4-year degree at a very good university and had done very well by the time I graduated. So my 1st year and my 4th year were very different academically for me. So the college experience, I think, was tremendously helpful for me because I grew personally. So the academics, I could manage that just fine, but the personal piece of pulling out all of the stuff that you've been sitting with as a teenager and a young adult, going into a profession where I really had to be present myself for my clients. So that was a huge period of growth for me during that 2 years. During that 2 years, I also got my real first job. I got a job at Stonehenge Therapeutic Community, which was an addictions treatment center for people, and also those who were serving sentences in the correctional system. They could finish their sentence at Stonehenge. So I was working with people who had committed assaults, but were also recovering from some sort of substance use. Very interesting job. Looking back, I'm surprised they gave it to me, but someone thought I had something to offer. So for $9.25 an hour, I thought I'd hit the jackpot. I was like, I have made it in the world. I have a real job. Now mind you, along the way, I had work jobs from everything from renting boats, scooping ice cream, cleaning out dog poop, serving beer, selling vacuum cleaners, and I finally hit the jackpot working at Stonehenge, or so I had thought. So there's a lot of jobs that you're going to do in your career that you're going to hate. I did telemarketing for 2 months, and I drove home from that job crying my eyes out saying, never, ever again will I do this work. I hate this work more than life itself. And to this day, when a telemarketer calls my house, I think, be nice, Laura. Be nice, Laura. No, I don't want my ducks cleaned. You will have jobs that you hate. You will have jobs that you realize, I didn't think I would like this, but I don't mind it actually. And you're going to have jobs where you're going to think, I'm only going to do this for a year, and then I'm getting the heck out of here. But that job adds some skills to what you're building towards. So fast forward, finished my degree, finished college, and I thought, there's still more to do. So by this point, I was getting married, having children, and I went back to school. So as a mom, as an adult, working full-time, I went back to York University, finished my undergrad and my MSW in social work. So I'm a social worker now, very, very far from being a veterinarian. But along those ways, I've done some really cool things. So primarily, as Regan mentioned, I'm going to be at the panel on Friday talking about mental health. That's my starting ground. Working in mental health. I worked in community mental health with the Canadian Mental Health Association. Then I moved to the hospital just down the road at Rouge Valley, where I worked as a community mental health as well, and then moved into management, and finally worked in a corporate project where I was actually working on the medicine, rehab, surgery units next to nurses and doctors, and gaining experience, gaining skills. So a lot of the things that you're learning are specific right now. But as you go along in your career, you're going to start, as I call, putting more tools in your backpack. You're putting more tools in your backpack. Every job that you do, you're going to pick up another little skill or tool that you didn't have before. It may not be directly related to chemistry or biology or management. Maybe it's about people. Maybe it's about conflict resolution. Maybe it's about some computer program. And you're like, this has nothing to do with my job. But fast forward 10 years, and you're sitting in an interview at the University of Toronto Scarborough, and someone's asking you, how do you manage people? And I'll say, well, I've had this job and this job and this job, and that's how I would manage that situation. Nothing to do with social work, doesn't have anything to do with my degree, but all of the experiences that I've gained along the way from my jobs have landed me to where I am today. So a couple months ago in January, I said to my boss, hey, I don't know what you're thinking, but what about me for athletics? I like to play volleyball. I've never worked in athletics before, but I do know people, and I do know how to run a business, and I do know how to manage money, and I do know how to think strategically for the needs of programs. And even though I haven't worked in a university for longer than 2 years, I have worked with clients. I have worked with students. I've taught for 10 years in college and university. So all of those experiences got me here today. So you as students, to me, you're my clients. And I, at the heart of all the work that I do, am always very client-centered. I'm always thinking about whether you've come into health and wellness, I'm thinking, what is this like for the student to come up to the front desk and check in? What is it like for the student to sit down with the nurse and have a discussion about maybe being pregnant? That's the experience that I think about when we make changes. Now for athletics, again, don't have specific experience in that, but someone was able to see the skills that I've gained over the years are transferable to the role that I'm now doing. So the other thing I wanted to share with you is a story. When I was doing my master's placement, I was doing therapy with individuals and couples, and I was working with a couple that had been married for about 35 years. Very tough work. If any of you in the room want to ever do therapy with couples, hang on. It is probably the toughest work that I ever did in counseling. So I was working with this couple, and I thought, oh geez, I'm going to be the reason that they split up after 35 years of marriage. I failed this couple miserably. But my supervisor, she did something that's called sand tray work. And sand tray basically is having a big box of sand in your office that she would pull out magically from underneath her desk and sit in front of us. And when I first met her, I walked in her office and there was like 2 bookcases full of all these trinkets. Little figurines, little trinkets of things, little bushes. It was weird. I was like, what is this woman doing? So at the very end of my placement there, we did some supervision and we did sand tray together. So she actually used sand tray therapy on me. And we were talking about it in the context of working with this couple. And she says, explain to me how you see yourself working with this couple. So I built this elaborate scene where I had this park and these trees, and I put a bench there, and I put the couple on the bench. And she's like, and what do you represent in this scene? And I said, well, I'm the bench. I'm solid, I'm grounded, I'm supporting the couple. I really want to be there and, do this for the couple. She goes, and how do you feel about that? Do you want to be the bench? And I took a moment and I thought about it, and I went, no, I don't want to be the bench. The bench is not for me. She goes, what do you want to be? And I said, I want to be a treadmill. I want to be a treadmill. And it sounds funny, but I always think about that because that's exactly what I'm doing today. If any of you ever see me on campus, you're probably watching me walk from main campus to TPASC at least once a day. I'm on my treadmill. I like running around campus. I like meeting with different people. I like coming to these things. I like having my hand in a bunch of different things. I like to be active. So for me, I went from being a veterinarian to a social work, doing therapy in a room with people all day, to now running across campus a couple times a week, 10 minutes apart. It is 10 minutes. No, don't let anybody tell you it's 9, it's 10. But that for me is what makes me happy. And I think today and tomorrow and the next day, you're going to be talking about getting hired, tools to get you the job. And what I would say is what you're doing today, you may not be doing in 10 years from now. The job that you're doing 10 years from now might not even exist today. There's a lot of jobs out there that weren't there 10 years, 15 years ago when I was thinking about what I would like to do. And so when you get your job, whether it's next week, next month, 6 months from now, and you think, oh, this isn't really in my field. This isn't really what I wanted to do. I would encourage you and I would challenge you to take that opportunity anyways and say, you know what? I don't know what I'm going to learn here, but I'm going to learn something. Take every job as an opportunity to learn, because that's what I've done. You'll learn things that you do want to do and things that you don't want to do. Maybe you don't want to be the bench. Maybe you want to be a treadmill like me. But definitely your career will not be a linear trajectory. It will be a series of zigzags along the way. And you will have triumphs, and you will have times where you want to quit. I wanted to quit in college. And my husband's like, no, Laura, keep going. You're halfway done. You're going to do great things. He's always been my cheerleader. Yay. But you will have moments where you want to give up. Moments that you want to quit. Moments that you think, I'm a fake. Why would I be here? They have no idea. But you know what? Sometimes you have to fake it till you make it. Sometimes you have to put on the clothes for the job that you want, not the job that you have. So remember, every opportunity is an opportunity to grow, to learn, and just enjoy the journey. Thanks very much.